Welcome back to Worth Coin, your ultimate guide to rare and valuable coins from around the world. Today, we're diving into the rich history of British coinage with the top 4 most valuable UK halfpenny coins. Let's see which tiny coins carry big value. First up, the 1967 UK halfpenny coin, also known as the halfpenny, holds a unique place in the history of British coinage as one of the final issues of the pre-decimal era. Struck during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, this coin was part of the long-running halfpenny series that had existed in various forms since the 13th century. The 1967 halfpenny was officially the last year this denomination was struck for circulation, although it continued to be legal tender until August 1980, when it was demonetized following the full decimalization of the British currency system in 1971. This coin carries the obverse portrait of a young Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick, which had been in use since 1953. The image shows the Queen wearing a laurel wreath rather than a crown, a design that symbolized youth and continuity with earlier monarchs. The reverse features the seated figure of Britannia, a traditional symbol of British strength and maritime pride, holding a trident and shield, with a lighthouse in the background. This design had been used on halfpennies since the 1860s, and remained consistent through the final years of the coin's production. In terms of composition, the 1967 halfpenny was made of bronze, which is an alloy of copper, tin, and zinc. It measured 25.5 millimeters in diameter and weighed 5.67 grams. These specifications had been standardized for decades, maintaining continuity in British small-denomination coinage. The coin's edge was plain, and there were no significant variations or errors known in regular circulation strikes from that year, which makes the 1967 halfpenny fairly common. In fact, over 146 million of these coins were minted, as the Royal Mint was preparing for the shift to decimal currency and ensuring enough supply for public use. Despite its high mintage, the coin retains value for collectors primarily in uncirculated or proof condition. Circulated examples typically carry minimal monetary value, often between 5 pence and 20 pence depending on wear. However, coins that are in mint state condition, especially those graded MS 65 or higher, can fetch around 1 to 5 pounds among collectors who appreciate high-grade pre-decimal coinage. Proof versions, such as those included in special collector sets, may sell for slightly more, depending on condition and presentation. Next up, the 1965 UK halfpenny coin, commonly referred to as the halfpenny or halfpenny, is part of the long-standing British pre-decimal coinage system. This coin was minted during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II and features the first definitive portrait of the Queen, designed by Mary Gillick. The obverse depicts a young Queen Elizabeth II facing right, wearing a laurel wreath instead of a crown, reflecting a classical aesthetic that emphasized her youth and continuity with past monarchs. The legend around the edge reads, Elizabeth II by the grace of God, Queen FD. Zrania, which translates to Elizabeth II by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. The reverse side of the coin features the iconic figure of Britannia, seated and facing right. She is depicted holding a trident in her right hand and a shield bearing the Union Jack in her left, with a lighthouse visible in the left background. This image of Britannia had been used on the halfpenny since 1860 and had become a symbol of British maritime strength and imperial tradition. The inscription reads halfpenny above Britannia, with the date 1965 below. The coin was struck in bronze, composed of 95.5% copper, 3% tin, and 1.5% zinc. It has a diameter of 25.5 millimeters, a weight of 5.67 grams, and a plain edge. These specifications had remained consistent since the Victorian period, which helped the public easily recognize and use the coin throughout its long lifespan. In terms of mintage, the 1965 halfpenny was produced in large numbers to meet everyday transactional needs in the UK. A total of over 111 million coins were struck for circulation that year. Because of this high mintage, the coin is not considered rare or valuable in circulated condition. Most 1965 halfpennies found today are worth only a few pence, typically between 5 pence and 20 pence, depending on wear and condition. However, coins in uncirculated or mint state condition, especially those graded MS64 or higher, can be worth a bit more, generally in the range of £1 to £3. Higher prices may be paid for proof examples or coins that are particularly well struck and preserved. Although the coin holds little monetary value today, its historical significance lies in its place within the broader narrative of Britain's monetary history. The 1965 halfpenny is part of the last decade of the British pre-decimal system, which would end in 1971 with the introduction of decimal currency. Coins like the 1965 halfpenny are valued by collectors and historians for their role in everyday British life before decimalization. Next up, the 1964 UK halfpenny coin, commonly referred to as the halfpenny or halfpenny, is a part of Britain's pre-decimal coinage system and was issued during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. Like other halfpennies of the period, the 1964 coin was used widely in everyday transactions across the United Kingdom and represents an important period in the transition toward decimalization, which officially took place in 1971. The obverse of the coin features the first official portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick. This youthful depiction of the Queen shows her wearing a laurel wreath and facing right. The legend around the portrait reads, Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith, which stands for Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This elegant design was used on most UK coins from 1953 until the mid-1960s. The reverse of the coin displays the traditional image of Britannia, a symbol of Britain's maritime power and national identity. Britannia is shown seated, facing right, holding a trident in one hand and a shield in the other, with a lighthouse in the background to her left. The inscription reads halfpenny above, with the date 1964 below. This design had been in use on halfpennies since the reign of Queen Victoria in 1860 and remained largely unchanged for over a century. The 1964 halfpenny was made of bronze, composed of 95.5% copper, 3% tin, and 1.5% zinc. It has a diameter of 25.5 millimeters, a weight of 5.67 grams, and a plain edge. These specifications had been standard for decades and made the coin easily recognizable to the public. In terms of mintage, the 1964 halfpenny was produced in very large quantities, with over 141 million coins struck for circulation. Because of this high mintage, it is considered a common coin, especially in circulated condition. Most circulated examples are still widely available and are typically worth around 5 pence to 20 pence, depending on condition. Coins in uncirculated or mint state condition, particularly those graded MS63 or higher, can be worth slightly more, typically in the range of £1 to £3, while proof versions or coins in near-perfect condition may sell for slightly higher premiums among collectors. Next up, the 1962 UK halfpenny coin, also known as the halfpenny, or colloquially the halfpenny, was part of the pre-decimal currency system used in the United Kingdom prior to decimalization in 1971. Issued during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, The coin reflects a period when British coinage retained strong ties to classical imagery and long-standing design traditions, while still being used in everyday life across the country. On the obverse of the 1962 halfpenny is the portrait of a young Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick. This image, first used in 1953, shows the Queen wearing a laurel wreath rather than a crown, a style reminiscent of Roman emperors that was intended to convey youth and continuity. Around the portrait appears the Latin inscription, Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina Fd, meaning Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. The reverse features the timeless image of Britannia, a female figure who personifies the United Kingdom. Britannia is depicted seated and facing right, holding a trident in her right hand and resting her left arm on a shield that bears the Union Jack. A lighthouse appears in the left background, symbolizing Britain's naval strength and maritime heritage. The design also includes the denomination halfpenny above Britannia and the date 1962 below. This reverse design, with only minor changes, had been used on British halfpennies since 1860 during Queen Victoria's reign. The 1962 halfpenny was struck in bronze, composed of 95.5% copper, 3% tin, and 1.5% zinc. The coin has a diameter of 25.5 millimeters, a weight of 5.67 grams, and features a plain edge. These specifications had remained largely unchanged for decades, making the halfpenny easily recognizable and familiar in daily transactions. The Royal Mint produced the 1962 halfpenny in very large numbers, with a total mintage exceeding 78 million coins for that year. As a result of this high mintage, the coin is considered very common, particularly in circulated condition. Most examples that are found today in average circulated quality are worth only about 5 pence to 15 pence. However, uncirculated or mint state examples, especially those graded MS 63 or better, can command slightly higher prices in the range of £1 to £3, depending on the sharpness of the strike and surface preservation. Proof versions of the 1962 halfpenny were not officially issued for public sale, but some specimen strikes or exceptionally well-preserved coins in original mint packaging may appear in collectors' markets at higher values.